The Argos held on week 1 against an improved Missouri S&T team in Rolla. Now they're home to host Midwestern State out of the Lone Star Conference. Coach Shinnick talks about the use of both quarterbacks and the hard-hitting defense. Plus, we have the GSC's Defensive Player of the Week on. And we check in with Joe Bartlinski to preview his Argo women's soccer team. All this week on the Coach Shinnick Show. And welcome into week 2 of the Coach Shinnick Show here on the UWF Sports Network. Of course, we're joined by Argonaut head coach Pete Shinnick. And Coach, long road trip, always good when you can go, 14 hours or so on the road and get a win.
No, it is. It's big to come away with a victory in that type of game. Really feel fortunate, obviously, to get the W. Don't think we played as well as we're capable of. But give Missouri S&T a ton of credit. Much better team than they were a year ago. They played us extremely well, played to our tendencies well, did a great job, coaching against us.
Well, when you talk about that, they gave you some different looks that you hadn't seen out of them in the past, right?
They really did. They changed their defensive front, and, so then you're trying to get your O-line to block the new front, and then they jump back into the old one. And so every front presents its own set of blocking rules for the O-line, and became confusing, and pretty much every time we ran the ball, we were short one guy, and that's a credit to them and doing a great job of confusing us.
So how do you assess the offensive line? I know that was something we thought would kind of be a question mark. You were hoping it was going to be better. Did you see improvement there?
Well, I saw some signs of it, but then, some things that, we obviously need to fix. I don't think Missouri S&T, is going to be the best defensive line or defensive front that we face, and so we've got to clean up what we've done. I was, I called a lot of run plays and called them thinking, all right, at some point in time, this thing's going to work. It's going to pop. We just felt like we were close, but in the end, we really weren't. And, need to clean that up tremendously in order to have a chance the rest of the year.
Well, we saw both quarterbacks, so we take a look at how things went. Talk about what you liked out of Mike Beaudry.
Well, I thought Mike really capitalized on the time he had. Both guys got 2 series to start the game. Mike got the first and second, and then Gray got the third and fourth. Mike took us on an 18-play, 80-play drive, really the second one, which, really set up kind of the rest of the night. Thought he saw things well, thought he threw the ball well. He still had a couple of drops in there. His completion percentage was about 60%. Really liked what we saw out of him. He took off and ran a couple of times. Excited about moving forward with him and seeing how this thing progresses.
Saw Antoine Griffin make a couple of nice catches. You had to like what you saw with him week 1.
Antoine played great, and he has seeing Rodney Coates catch a touchdown pass right there. That was big for him, just being able to step up and make that happen. Great throw by Mike, great protection by the O-line. Gage Kroll catching a touchdown pass, big 6'5" outside wide receiver, getting it done right there. Mike threw him a great ball. So a lot of pluses, a lot of things that we can build on, a lot of things that we obviously can get better at.
Well, let's talk about the running game. You touched on a little bit. Chris Schwartz was able to get in on the act quite a bit in this game. Probably still, as you mentioned before, not where you want to be, but room to get better.
Oh, most definitely room to get better. Chris scored the touchdown. What Chris doesn't lose yards, and I think a credit to him in just how well he runs and what he does. We got to open up some lanes. We got to get some other guys involved in the running game as well to kind of just create a different change of pace with our backs, and that's something that we're going to work on this week.
What about the defense? Tell us what you thought about your defense.
Well, I think, extremely opportunistic. We missed too many tackles for Coach Doolin to, feel good about it, but extremely opportunistic. Obviously, the 2 turnovers late, but, we got a turnover also on special teams, which were a lot of our defensive guys. Felt like, they were 5 for 15 on third down conversions. Really feel like if we make 2 tackles, behind, the first down mark, we're gonna really kill them on third down. So clean up some tackling, clean up some gap stuff, and obviously we gave up a big play, which was a blown coverage. And, again, we've got areas we can improve on both sides of the ball.
Their last drive, you ended in the turnover, but there was also a big penalty when it looked like you guys had maybe come up with a big stop in that series as well. That was a big drive, obviously, for obvious reasons, but for some other reasons as well.
Well, no, it was a huge drive, and, we have them 3rd and 11, and we jump off sides, and then we get a sack. I mean, how different would have that been 4th and 20? They're still probably going to go deep and try that. I thought Marvin was in good position on that. I think he might have left a little early. But, yeah, I mean, we gave some things away. I think penalties, 2 crucial penalties. We had a big-time, penalty with Marvin right there. Again, I liked how aggressively he was playing it. And then we had one on kickoff return where we would have had the ball in field goal range. But, we got a penalty that took us out of it.
In the end, you get the win. Feels pretty good to still go all that way and survive. So a good win week 1. We'll talk about what's ahead. Of course, Midwestern State's on deck coming up this weekend. But when we come back, the GSC Defensive Player of the Week, Martes Wheeler, joins us. Plus, find out how good of a weekend women's soccer had. Joe Bartlinski previews his team. That's all next on the Coach Shinnick Show on the UWF Sports Network.
We are not here to drift. We were born to move, to change, to jump in, dive deep, make waves, break through. We were born to splash. The University of West Florida is America's best university for making a splash. The University of West Florida. How will you make a splash? We will never settle for the kiddie pool. We are destined for the vast ocean of opportunities that await us. We were born to make a splash. At the University of West Florida, you can make a discovery, make a difference, make a splash. So take a deep breath and dive in. The University of West Florida. How will you make a splash? The world is our ocean, and we are here to make a splash, to dive deep, to create, to develop, to break through. At the University of West Florida, there's no limit to how you can make a splash. Don't just sit on shore, jump in. The University of West Florida. How will you make a splash?
Welcome back to the Coach Shinnick Show. Turning our attention to the pitch. The Argo women's soccer team picked up their first 2 wins over the weekend, knocking off Lynn and Palm Beach Atlantic to open the season. Returning All-American goalkeeper Caitlin Burkhart had a great weekend as well, allowing just 1 goal in the 2 games. Also, newcomer Denisha Blackwood earned GSC Player of the Week. She had 3 goals in the 2 games. Head coach Joe Bartlinski has high expectations for his 8th-ranked Argos.
We have some quality returners coming back, so we're excited about that. Liz Vickers helping us on the back line, Georgia Bailey as well. Returning All-American Caitlin Burkhart in goal has taken on some great leadership role this preseason. Some very good returners up front, Caljet Atwall and Leonie Crowell, and some good blend in the middle, Savannah Source. So we've got some very good returners, and again, they're all bringing good leadership in the preseason. We have a very good blend of newcomers from junior college kids and transfers, as well as freshmen that we're going to be needing to rely on. We graduated some pretty important youngsters, several All-Americans, and so we went after some veteran leadership with some JUCO transfers, and we're hoping that that'll pan out. I think on the offense, we've got some very good players. Denisha Blackwood, that we recruited a few years ago, that went to Navarro Junior College. She brings along her teammates, Vicky Swift, and we also have Chantel Thompson as well. I think they'll add to some pop with us, along with a junior college kid out of California, Grace Busby. We enjoy getting on the road at the beginning of the season. Kind of get away and see what kind of youngsters we have and take them on the road. Very good opponents in Lynn and Palm Beach Atlantic, so we're looking forward to getting out there and testing them on the long road trip. Anybody in our region is very difficult. That's why what we've done, winning 6 regions in the last 12 years has been pretty special. But every year presents us new challenges, and this is going to be some new challenges this year.
You can catch the ladies at home this weekend. They've got games Friday and Sunday at the pitch. Go to GoArgos.com for the full schedule. Back to the gridiron, Argonaut linebacker Martes Wheeler had a huge weekend, 10 tackles in fact. We had a chance to catch up with GSC Player of the Week on campus earlier this week. Martes, great week one against Missouri S&T. I'm sure it feels good after a long drive like that to be able to finish it off with a win.
Yes, sir. Drive was pretty crazy, but it's always good to come back with a win.
Talk about your defense. Seemed like you guys played pretty well. You'd give up some yards here and there, but in the end, you guys did a pretty good job of keeping them out of the end zone.
Yes, sir. Like Coach always says, yard doesn't win games. Defense, we did a pretty good job at, believing in what Coach tell us and, just fight to the end.
Darian Doolin, new defensive coordinator, already in year 2. So what's that like playing for a new coordinator in your second year?
Not much different. The guy came in, know what he wanted to get accomplished, and we know where we wanted to be at. So, it just goes hand in hand to what we're trying to accomplish and win games.
Were there things that S&T did that gave you guys some fits defensively?
We had a little trouble with our passing game, but we feel like we limited their running game to very minimum yards, so feel pretty confident in the running game.
Yeah, talk about that. You guys did a great job stopping the run all game long. They've got some playmakers in the backfield, but you guys shut them down.
Yes, sir. They definitely got some pretty good players. Coach did a great job at, getting the right calls in. We did a great job at executing the calls that Coach gave us.
All right, so let's talk about the big play. The play at the end of the game, you come up, force a huge fumble, and that's you guys are trying to stop them at that point from going into the end zone. They score there, they're up with about 30, 40 seconds left in the game, so that makes it really tough to come back at that point. You strip it. Were you trying to go for the strip there, or are you just trying to make a big hit?
Coach Shinnick always tells us, there's full speed until the whistle blows, and I was just going for a tackle, but I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and hey, all I can say is that was God. That's it. I just give it all to God.
What's that feeling like, forcing a fumble? You guys recover in the end zone in a situation like that.
It's big. It was a really big relief for us. That 14, 15-hour bus ride back is a lot better with a win than it is with a loss. So.
You guys made a similar trip last year to Chowan. Unfortunately, you didn't win that game, so I'm sure you didn't want to experience that same long drive back again this year after a loss. Huh?
No, sir. It's a lot better with a win than a loss.
Did you guys feel a little more refreshed coming into this game after a long trip like that last year, and did the fact that it was week 1 help that a little bit?
Yes, sir. Coaches did a great job with us during fall camp and getting us in the best condition possible, getting our legs fresh, our bodies feeling rejuvenated and hydrated and stuff. So it was a really big part in coaching and, us doing our part too as athletes. So.
Defensive Player of the Week after week 1, that's got to feel good. Take us through what that means to you as a player.
Oh, man, it was big. I'm still in disbelief, All I can say if it was God's doing, just happened to be at the right place at the right time, doing what Coach tell us to do, doing what you coach, and, good things are happening.
It wasn't just the big fumble that you forced at the end. You also had a nice tackle for loss in there as well. Just an all-around good game for you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. One thing I just try to do is effort. The guys around me, we try to give our best effort. Just get guys in the right place at the right time. Great things that happen.
How have you seen this team grow this year? It's year 2 of the program. For a lot of guys, it's their second year. You're now in your sophomore season. So what have you seen growth-wise out of this group?
I just seen a lot of guys just started to buy in to what Coach is telling us. Coach tells us it's a process, trust the process, and a lot of guys starting to buy in. A lot of guys getting a lot closer. Just a lot of more team bonding, a lot more trusting in our coaches and trusting the process that Coach Shinnick is putting in front of us.
Defensively, from that aspect of things, where do you guys need to go from here heading into this week's tough test against a Midwestern State team that's nationally ranked?
I think we played a good defensive game, but, we got to get a lot better. There's a lot of stuff that we left out there, eyes got to get better, better technique. But, Midwestern State is a pretty good team, Coach always tells us a small margin of error, so we got to be on it.
You're going to be back in front of your home fans. That's got to be exciting, being back at the stadium downtown.
Yes, sir. Pensacola, West Florida got some of the best fans there is in D2. Hey, in the nation. So, hey, that's always a good atmosphere to play in.
All right, Martes, have some fun out there, and good luck in your encore to what you did last weekend.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And the Argos are back in action this weekend, taking on Midwestern State. We talk about that and plenty more when we come back with head coach Pete Shinnick on the Coach Shinnick Show on the UWF Sports Network.
We are not here to drift. We were born to move, to change, to jump in, dive deep, make waves, break through. We were born to splash. The University of West Florida is America's best university for making a splash. The University of West Florida. How will you make a splash? We will never settle for the kiddie pool. We are destined for the vast ocean of opportunities that await us. We were born to make a splash. At the University of West Florida, you can make a discovery, make a difference, make a splash. So take a deep breath and dive in. The University of West Florida. How will you make a splash? The world is our ocean, and we are here to make a splash, to dive deep, to create, to develop, to break through. At the University of West Florida, there's no limit to how you can make a splash. Don't just sit on shore, jump in. The University of West Florida. How will you make a splash?
Welcome back to the Coach Shinnick Show here on the UWF Sports Network. Still plenty to talk about. There were some positives to take away from that game. A win, there better be positives to take away. But one thing that we really had to like, the lack of turnovers. Didn't turn the ball over once all game.
We didn't. We had a close one there where they called Tim Bellinger down on a screen pass, but felt great about that. Thought Mike really put us in a good situation, not really forcing any balls. You know, most of his incompletions, I think except for one, were either overthrows or, areas that, there weren't any defenders around. And then Chris Schwartz just did a great job. He and Mike did a great job, on the run game, holding on to the ball. Anthony Johnson played a little bit. He was solid with that. So that's huge. We had nothing in special teams, turned the ball over. That's a huge plus. And then to get 3 turnovers, like we talked about in the first segment, that's big. Now you're +3. That changes the complexion of things. I feel very good about where we're at there.
Without those turnovers, the game looks a lot different.
Tremendously. Because they're driving twice. Obviously, Martes Wheeler's hand knocking the ball out is crucial on the last play of their possessions. And then Josh Marshall also, that interception. That's a turn and run interception. That's a center field type action there. That's a big time play.
Yeah, you guys had some big plays defensively. I think there was another opportunity for a pick 6 in that game. It was just dropped, but it's one of those where you want to root for it. Then it doesn't happen, but you're still happy about the good defense. Third down conversions, the ability to keep drives alive. You guys converted 9 third downs in that game, too.
Yeah, that was huge. Jamie Dees calls third downs. He did a fantastic job putting us in the right place, getting us the right look. And really, we feel like, probably could have gotten 3 or 4 more there. Not necessarily anything that Missouri S&T did. We had a couple drops. We had a couple missed blocks. So an area to improve. And then, I mentioned earlier, defensive third down conversions. Getting them 5 of 15, that gets them off the field.
Right.
Or makes them go for it on 4th down. Those were big-time stats that really played into, how we come out with a W.
Yeah, I think the defense, maybe you look at the yardage and you see that Missouri S&T put up some yards in that game, but what we kept saying on the broadcast was it was a bend but don't break. You really didn't let them in the end zone a ton.
No.
And that's the goal. Keep them out of the end zone, right? That's how you win football games.
Yeah, and yardage, that's great. You can say, we're the #1 yard defense, whatever. But when it all comes down, how many points today? How many points we give up? And we gave up 16 points and really had a blown coverage on the long touchdown. The others were, long drives, but we shut them down once they got inside the 20. The only time they got close to the goal line was at the end of the game.
So talk about, you look at this team, you look at week 1, it is a win, you feel good about that, but it's the first game of the year. So there's always going to be things, and there's always going to be room to get better. What did you see? What were your takeaways in this game? All right, now we've got to get better here, here, and here. Well, we got to be better at blocking. Obviously, we weren't getting enough push up front to be able to give our running backs a crease or some sort of vision. We got to get better at blocking. Number 2, I still think we missed too many tackles in the open field, and that's an area that we need to clean up. And so you take those 2 components
opponents, and that's fundamentals football. I liked how our guys played. I liked how hard they played. I like that even while Missouri S&T is driving and there's a minute 22 to go, 34 seconds, whatever it is, our guys on the sidelines are still believing, supporting each other. Wasn't negativity, wasn't guys doubting. I think everybody felt like, hey, they haven't gone into the end zone yet. They're not going to.
Yeah, well, that's a good philosophy to have, and that's a statement of a program too, isn't it? When you guys kind of have that confidence, hey, we're not going to let them in. I don't care how close they are.
Yeah, I really liked how our guys believed, and we kept talking about that. Believe no matter what. Keep trusting each other. Keep believing in the system. Good things are going to take place. So it was good to see that play out. But typically as a team, you make great strides, between week 1 and week 2. We're going to need to, and we're going to talk about Midwestern State coming up here, but we're going to need to have the type of team that we feel we're capable of having.
Very good conference, the Lone Star Conference, where Midwestern State's out of, so that's going to be a tough opponent. How does as you try to get better this week, how did the travel affect, practice this week?
Good that we had Monday off, and there was no school Monday with the holiday, so that helped give guys a little more opportunity to rest, relax. Felt good about how we traveled, felt good about how we came back. Kent Morgan does a great job every time we get off a bus. We kind of break it up, our strength staff, do some things to get guys moving, get them doing different stuff. And, at our Monday night practice, our guys did a really good job, came out with good energy, good excitement.
We've got some questions for you from social media. Plus, we'll talk about Midwestern State. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right, we'll do that when we come back. This is the Coach Shinnick Show on the UWF Sports Network.
We are not here to drift. We were born to move, to change, to jump in, dive deep, make waves, break through. We were born to splash. The University of West Florida is America's best university for making a splash. The University of West Florida. How will you make a splash? We will never settle for the kiddie pool. We are destined for the vast ocean of opportunities that await us. We were born to make a splash. At the University of West Florida, you can make a discovery, make a difference, make a splash. So take a deep breath and dive in. The University of West Florida. How will you make a splash?
Welcome back to the Coach Shinnick Show here on the UWF Sports Network. Time to preview this weekend. Midwestern State comes to town out of the Lone Star Conference. So what do you know about these guys right now?
Well, they're a playoff team, ranked 16th in the country, I think, right now. So, very talented. They ran for over 400 yards this last week. So, from an offensive standpoint, I think they've got 2 running backs that are as good as we'll see in this conference. And then defensively, they're very sound. They run to the ball extremely well. They do a great job with their D-line. Tremendous test for us. I think it will give us an idea where we're at. It really will. They're as good a football team, as we'll see non-conference. And then, I think they'd battle some teams in our conference at the top end as well.
You got a win against a ranked team last year at home. That was a big win. It was early in the season. Wasn't quite week 2, but at that point, you still kind of feel like there's not many secrets. But there probably was still on their end a little bit when you beat Florida Tech. So now, year 2, we've talked about it a couple of times, but a team you haven't seen before. So how do you prepare for that? What do you think when if you were to put yourself in their shoes, what are they looking at out of you guys?
Well, I think, we did exchange film over the summer, so we have some games of them and they have some games of us. And, we came out at the beginning of the Missouri S&T game and, did things that we're comfortable with. They came out the beginning of their first game against Quincy, did things they're comfortable with. So you have a little bit of an idea. I think the thing, for us in preparing preparing, we just know we're going to have a sound team on both sides of the ball.
Right.
Very, very well coached, and they do a great job in special teams. Have one dynamic returner that does their punts and their kickoffs. So again, it's a great test for us. We're going to need to play as good a football as we can to come out with a victory.
A game like this kind of prepares you for the GSC conference, doesn't it?
It really does, and you do that now week 2. And you got to be ready to go. And, we challenged our guys with that on Monday when we had our practice. This is a great opportunity to find out exactly where we're at and what we need to do and, how good we can be.
All right. Well, we look forward to it. Should be a fun football game, and the number 16 team in the nation comes calling. So I've got a couple of questions into our social media realm today. I want to start with Adam Shinnick. Claims to maybe be the favorite of the Shinnick family from your perspective. Wants to know when he's going to get an opportunity to call a play.
Yeah. Adam's been asking that for quite some time. Mm-hmm. Adam actually coached my running backs at one point in time. Maybe let him call one play then. So
yeah,
we'll get on the phone. I'll take care of that.
Okay, sounds good. All right.
Shameless plug though, Adam.
Yes,
definitely to get that done right there on the show.
There you go. All right, so we do have a question from Eric Brammer in Pensacola. He was watching Georgia Tech this weekend. Georgia Tech obviously runs a lot of the wishbone, triple option stuff. Any thought of incorporating something like that into the offense?
When you do the zone read stuff and you really have a little bit of the triple option in it. And I think, everything kind of evolves through that. A lot of people were running triple option. We'll never do what Georgia Tech has done. But I think what you're seeing in today's modern football with the run pass options, you're seeing the opportunity to run the ball, throw the ball, all in the same play, make a defense defend the entire field. That's really what the triple option does. You got to defend, the whole 53 1/3 wide of the playing field. We're not going to line up under center and run the wishbone. No, that's not going to happen.
We're not going to see that in the white helmets. By the way, the white helmet's a good look this week. I like that. Very nice. Still a little bit to get to. We have some tickets to give away for this weekend's game against Midwestern State with a little trivia question. All you have to do is write in to the Argo Athletic Department. Send us an email, and all you have to do is answer this question. The question is, who was the first Argo to win a conference award? Email sportsinformation@uwf.edu with the right answer. The first person to get it right will get a couple of tickets to this week's game. We didn't talk too much about it. We talked with him about it, but I'll ask you, Martes Wheeler, Defensive Player of the Week. What a week he had.
Great week, and we actually named him our in-house our Special Teams Player of the Week. So here's a guy who does a fantastic job on defense, but also didn't give up his role on special teams of being an impact player.
Boy, it was an incredible win, a wild one, and sometimes it's fun to survive one of those, and it helps you grow week 1. So now week 2, number 16, Midwestern State comes to town. You can see that down at Blue Wahoo Stadium this week. Of course, you know where to find it on the radio on Choice 106.9 FM, WRNE 980 AM. Also a big weekend. Women's soccer's at home Friday and Sunday as well. Go to goargos.com for full details and the full schedule. That does it for Coach Shinnick. I'm Tommy Thrall. Thanks to our entire crew. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next week here on the Coach Shinnick Show on the UWF Sports Network.